All right, so from some of the best players of this new era to some of the best teams of this new era. Our last video, we watched how statistically amazing the defending champs, the OKC Thunder, are. Now we're going to watch a video on the Boston Celtics, another greatly built team. I don't know if this is going to be more statistical or narrative driven, but we're going to give it a watch. We're hot on the basketball trail today, people.
Just tank. Tank this season. What's the point of trying to win as many games as possible? I mean, the Celtics have already traded away Drew Holiday. They already traded away Kristaps Porzingis. They're taking a ton of money off of their books. Jason Tatum will be out for the entirety of the 2025-26 season. You are not
I didn't even know that.
a good basketball team.
2 seasons ago, the Celtics looked like the league's next inevitability. They entered the season as title favorites and tore through the playoffs without breaking a sweat. It felt like the bold announcement of the league's next Bostonian dynasty. Then in one summer, it all evaporated. A devastating injury to Jason Tatum after a deflating postseason cracked the foundation, and Brad Stevens made a decision most title teams never even consider. He broke it up. The second apron, conflicting timelines, and a lingering sense that something had stalled all played a role in the decision, but still, even with all of the logic to support it, choosing to detonate a roster that had just won a title felt unthinkable. Before their ring could even collect some dust, the team that hung banner number 18 was gone. They aren't used to one-hit wonders like that in Title Town. Throughout history, the Boston front office has been accused of many things: callousness, insensitivity, a focus on winning so singular it rejects any ounce of romanticism. But one thing they've never been is naive. This season, they took a look around and assessed the ceiling of the team with a clinical mindset, and the conclusion they reached was simple. Without Jason Tatum, this team didn't have a shape. They had a lack of clearly defined role players, auxiliary pieces who would have to be supportive stars, and most importantly, there was no proven number one to run the offense through. There were questions everywhere. With that many uncertainties, establishing a direction was impossible, so they decided that they'd use this season as something else. This would be an experiment, an ongoing test aimed at turning variables into certainties, and it began right at the top with the hairline bandit himself, Jaylen Brown. Brown has
I seen the memes, dog. This nigga was marking people. Marking people. No respect, Jaylen Brown. You just leaving yourself, leaving a piece of yourself on people everywhere you go.
developed one of the most complex reputations in the NBA. He's someone we expect to see at All-Star Weekend, a Finals MVP, and one of the earliest additions of the modern two-way wing every team is searching for. But for his entire career, he was judged more for what he wasn't. Even at his peak, when he was efficiently averaging 24 in the playoffs, the critiques were just as loud as the praise. People could acknowledge the fact that he was a great player and a perfect complement to Jason Tatum, but there was a feeling that he was benefiting from a stacked rotation that allowed him to hunt favorable matchups at will. The question here was simple and essential to any path forward. What would Jaylen Brown look like when the circumstances weren't perfect? After all, we had seen him struggle against big-time defenders in the past. Draymond infamously gave him problems in the finals, and his left hand is still every commenter's main target on any social media post, even loosely related to Brown. But this season was his chance to cement himself as exactly who he says he is. With Tatum sidelined for at least the vast majority of the season, JB was the only realistic candidate to carry the offense. And with no championship expectations, the Celtics would be perfectly fine living with the results. This year, they've given Brown free reign to push the issue, play his game, and attack like a true number one. And he's blown every expectation out of the water. We're talking 29 points per game on 50% from the field to go along with career-high assist numbers. Those are all NBA stats, and they're backed up by the eye test. He's playing like a refined engine, breaking down defenders, getting to his spots with poise, and playing at his own pace every step of the way. That's a clear check mark next to the biggest.
That's why I keep saying this. Like, the ability to play at your own pace, your own rhythm, that has to be checked out. If you want to be considered a superstar in my book, That has to be checked off.
box on the list. Now they know there's enough juice to fuel a contender that isn't fueled to the brim with luxury pieces. And once that question was answered, they started looking around with more intent. Next up was the backcourt, and this was a little bit less high stakes. For starters, Derek White was still Derek White, a sharpshooting defensive mastermind. And now that they've stopped forcing him to get up 20 shots per game, his percentages have gradually recovered. That isn't news though. White was an enormous piece of that initial title run, and no one thought he'd regress so quickly. The real question was the man beside him, the whiteboard extraordinaire, Hayden Pritchard. In the past, Pritchard was the spark plug, the Celtics' volcanic six-man with a unique propensity for nailing long-range buzzer beaters. But now, Jrue Holiday is gone, and the only guy on the roster with the potential to match his impact is Pritchard. In order for this new iteration of the team to function, he would have to fill the shoes left behind by the two-time champ. But with an important caveat beside that statement, the Celtics don't need Pritchard to be Jrue Holiday. They aren't asking him to smother opposing floor generals or post up undersized guards. They need him to be a scorer and a stabilizer, someone who could calmly run the offense, pick up a tough matchup, and still find the time to look for his own shots. It was a big ask. The freedom Pritchard had as a six-man was cut in half, and early on, it showed. October was rough, but by November, things started slowing down. With each game, he was looking more like his old self while steadily adding those connective pieces to his game. He stopped rushing to get his and started waiting for his moment, staying ready and capitalizing as soon as it rolled around. In other words, he was playing like a starter without losing his identity, and that meant another building block had fallen into place. Between Pritchard's ability to make things happen off the bounce, his elite shot making, and his commitment to being an active defender, he gives the Celtics enough to form a playoff caliber backcourt, a significantly cheaper playoff caliber backcourt.
Okay.
Now let's take stock for a second. With White, Brown, and now Pritchard, Boston has three pieces that have shown enough to be counted on as key contributors, and they're all on contract for 2 years after this. That means they have a perimeter worth building around. But in order to match that in the interior, they had to find a center that fit their system. In this case, asking for a sage of a stretch five like Al Horford or a matchup nightmare like Kristaps Porzingis was too much. All the Celtics need is a rim protecting big man with enough foot speed and athleticism to be a true pick and roll threat. There was only one option in front of them, Nomias Queta. The center from Portugal was another cherished reserve, an energy big that could get a resounding reaction from the crowd on the right night. But his role had always been incredibly limited. Queta had only started 6 games in his entire career, and he had never played more than 15 minutes per game before this season. The other planned developments were at least feasible. Just one more step for players who had already proven
like
they
an
could
NBA
evolve.
Europe,
This
NBA
was
Asia.
different. In order for Queta to reach the benchmarks the Celtics had in mind, he'd have to record career highs in every statistical category while maintaining the efficiency and effort he was known for. Either he made the leap and Boston didn't have to go shopping for a new center, or he didn't, and there would be some more reshuffling necessary. For the sake of drama, we like to keep you on the hook for a bit longer and say something like Queta stumbled early, then he figured it out as he gelled with his teammates. But that wouldn't be true, because this graceful giant was ready from the opening tip of the Celtics' first game. He hasn't tried to do too much, and he hasn't been paralyzed by the weight of his responsibilities.
So you see, it's just two. It's the same theme with two different teams. It's team building. It's like not every team needs a superstar at every position. They just need the right pieces for the system. But that's the thing. Knowing your system is very important.
into the occasion with the same passionate professionalism that he used to turn heads in the first place. Relentless rebounding, reliable rim protection, and constant energy that reverberates throughout every fan in attendance. Once he proved that the sample size wasn't misleading, the last big piece of the puzzle came into place. That's it. That's a starting four with one position reserved for an all-NBA first team member. The backcourt has been reassembled, the wing reaffirmed, and the interior rebuilt. The skeleton of a contending starting five is ready. Unfortunately, Boston sacrificed their bench in order to get here. Guys like Pritchard and Keita were the backbone of a second unit that was dangerous enough to turn games around. And we all know how important depth is in this league. No matter how great the starting five is, they aren't surviving.
Depth is like, this is modern sports. Depth is to win any big trophy in any big league. I'm starting to realize is depth. It's depth. Now you could have you can have a historic first team, but if the first team has to carry the whole load the whole season, it's not going to be enough to get you your title.
Some of these young teams
doesn't matter if it's in the Premier League in England or in the NBA in America. It's probably the same in the NFL. I'm not too familiar, but I'm pretty sure it's probably the same in the NFL. You need good depth in NFL. Pretty sure.
Without help. But even before the season started, we knew the Celtics bench wouldn't be that empty. Anthony Simons is one of the most accomplished members of the Celtics bench, and while he's experienced his fair share of growing pains as he gets acclimated to the Northeast, the potential for a flamethrowing six-man is obvious. Then there's Sam Hauser, the still dangerous sniper who has admittedly struggled a bit in the early portion of the season. Those two give Boston a solid baseline of offensive production. Still, what made their reserve special in the first place wasn't just the excellent three-point shooting, it was the never-ending supply of connectors. Guys like Al Horford and Luke Cornett, players they could trust to plug up defensive holes and make the right hustle plays more consistently than anyone they'd go up against. There weren't really any clear replacements for those quiet game changers, only a handful of young guys with blank track records. Sometimes though, that's exactly who you want to bet on. The first one the Celtics took a chance on was Josh Minott, a four-year forward who spent his first 3 seasons buried in Minnesota. Almost immediately, their investment paid off. Minott has the athleticism to defend stars for stretches at a time, the motor to turn loose balls into quick buckets, and even a jump shot to keep help defenders honest on the other end. He doesn't just look like a capable replacement. He looks like someone they could have used last year or even the year before that. And best of all, he's not the only one. Hugo Gonzalez has been a flawless fit. Rookies who are this technically nuanced aren't usually this ridiculously relentless, and the Spaniard is only going to get better from here. But our favorite surprise of this early season is the versatile defensive wildcard causing havoc every time he steps on the floor, Jordan Walsh. Boston fans have been waiting for this breakout for a minute, and it's been sweeter than they could have imagined. The Arkansas product has been a genuine game wrecker, a momentum shifting monster who can come in cold off the bench and immediately raise the effort level for every player wearing a green jersey without saying a word. When you add those 3 newcomers to the 2 heaters we mentioned at the beginning, you have something real. It's not the second unit that they're used to. This one won't pick defenses apart with mature pick and rolls. They're rougher around the edges and not quite as consistent as the reserves that won a title, but they're also scrappier, hungrier, and more sustainable in the long term, just like the remade starting lineup in front of them. Just so there are no misunderstandings, we don't expect them to go on a championship run this year, and we don't think this team was constructed with that in mind. Across the board, these are guys who need more experience in their roles before they confidently step into a playoff game. But honestly, that's fine. The only player we discuss who's over 30 years old is Derek White. This roster isn't racing against the clock like last year's was. They have plenty of time to grow into themselves and build chemistry with each other. It's a team with a new lease on contention, and it all happened before the latest banner could fade. In just one offseason, after a playoff disappointment and a veteran fire sale, Brad Stevens did it. He reinvented the Celtics and made them younger, faster, and more prepared for the future. Boston fans, you guys are spoiled.
This is a good video. This is a good video, man. Half past noon. I like your style, man. I like your style, boy. I'm subscribing, man. This is a great video, man. And I love it. It's art. This video was art. It wasn't too, it wasn't too forced. It wasn't forcing your way for clicks. You just doing your own thing, and you can see you just enjoying it as you go. Keep it up, bro. Keep it up.